Okay, so here we are in Guitar Hero Live itself, and I'm going to show off the easier way of calibrating first. However, it is, from my personal experience, far less accurate than the other method, but I'll still go through it because it is by far the easiest way of calibrating. So what you want to do is you want to try and align the red dot hitting the cowbell to right before it would hit it. So for example, right about here, the red dot hits the far left side of the cowbell as it ticks, which means that the second the note, to visualize it, the second the note would hit my strike line is when the audio would play, like this. And then what you want to do after is turn on game calibration, and then you want to go into on whatever difficulty you're most comfortable with. My songs Know What You Did in the Dark, which is by far the most. This song has the most consistent amount of repeated strumming, so you can really get the timing down and calibrate properly that way. You need to hit, I believe, 100 notes before the game calibration will finish. So we'll run through that real quick. All right, I made it about 80% of the way through that song. That should be more than enough. So as you can see, you can come back and the game calibration option can now be selected again, which means that your game is pretty much calibrated. So you can go back into the song and it'll, as long as you play to the time of the music, it'll work really well. However, um, every time that you want to recalibrate, move to a different display, do anything of the sorts, you will have to recalibrate the game. And when you recalibrate the game, if you play just a little bit differently than how you did on your initial calibration, the calibration will be wildly off and it'll really hurt your performance playing the game unless you're super consistent. So, we're going to run through what I personally consider to be the much more consistent way of calibrating the game and what I personally used when going for a full game FC. So, to get started on the second method, as I'm sure you can tell, we are no longer in Guitar Hero Live because, as far as I know, in order to do this method of calibration, you need to own any of the Neversoft era Guitar Hero games or any of the Rock Band games, because of how their calibrators work, where after you calibrate, they give you a flat value in both audio and video delay. So in order to get these values, I'd recommend calibrating for audio 3 to 5 times and writing down the average latency so that you have what your audio latency is on your display. And then for video, do the same thing and write down the average. And once you have both of those values, we can head back into the Guitar Hero Live and calibrate properly. So after calibrating in Guitar Hero 3, I know for certain that I am personally playing with 30 milliseconds of audio latency and 0 milliseconds of video latency. And using those values, I have created this formula that I use to determine the latency values of each individual option in this calibration menu. So the first thing you want to do is your audio calibration. Now, whatever audio latency value you got from calibrating in another Guitar Hero or Rock Band game, you'll want to either round up or round down that value to the nearest tenth. So if you got 24, you want to round that down to 20. If you got 28, you want to round it up to 30. If you got like 54, you want to round that down to 50, if that makes sense. And then this bell increments in figures of 10. So for example, this is 0, 10 milliseconds, 20, 30, 40, 50, and the exact same backwards. It's -10, -20, -30, and so on and so forth. So depending on your audio latency value that you got from the other game, you want to move this to the right or to the left until it matches the latency value you calibrated in the other game. So for me, that value was 30, so I'll go 10, 20, 30, and that's my audio latency. And then down in advanced calibration, I've personally found the most success by setting this video lag offset to the opposite of what your audio lag was. So mine was 30 milliseconds, so my video lag is going to be negative 30 seconds. And then for the input lag offset, what you want to do is you want to add your audio lag, your video lag, and the lag of your controller into one singular value. So for me, I was playing in 30 milliseconds of audio, 0 of video, and then the latency of your controller from my testing is 17 milliseconds. Because there's no wired peripherals for Guitar Hero Live, your latency value will all be the same because there's only one controller for this game going through one adapter. So for me personally, that value was 30 plus 0 plus 17. So my final value would be 47. So after you've put in all of that inputs, one thing to note is that if you ever come back to adjust, your video lag offset resets every time you open the menu for some reason. So you'll have to reset that every time you open the menu. But other than that, you're done. So you can head to any song you want. For the sake of testing, I'll play Girls because it's more than just some basic chords. And I can show you that the calibration I got works really well. So another thing that might be useful for people specifically playing on RPCS3 is that you do not need to have a Guitar Hero or Rock Band game to calibrate it, because RPCS3 built in the audio tab has an area called buffering, and if you enable buffering and set this to any value, that will be your audio delay. So for me, if I were to play Guitar Hero Live on RPCS3, I know that my audio delay would be 100 milliseconds. So yeah, that's it. I hope I could help you guys figure out how to calibrate this stupid game from 2014.